Do you know what drives a narcissist absolutely crazy? Not when you beg. Not when you send 100 texts looking for answers. It's when you go silent, calm, unbothered. When you stop needing closure. You break the final thread of control they thought they still had. And for a narcissist, that's unthinkable. You used to hurt. You waited for them to return with some kind of explanation. But now, you don't need that. You chose you. And that choice, it shakes them to their core. In today's video, I'm going to break down exactly what happens inside the mind of a narcissist. When they realize you are no longer their supply, you'll learn why they panic, why they try to come back, and most importantly, how to stay grounded in the peace you've finally found. If you're on a healing journey after narcissistic abuse, hit that subscribe button because this space is where you reclaim clarity, rediscover yourself, and learn how to never return to the chaos again. Let's dive in. When a narcissist leaves you without a goodbye, without explanation, without a single word, it's not a mistake. It's a strategy. They don't disappear so you'll forget them. They disappear so you can't. And in their world, silence isn't closure, it's the final form of manipulation. No closure is a narcissist's favorite tool, because it leaves a void, a space where you torment yourself with unanswered questions. What did I do wrong? Will they ever come back? Was I not enough? They know exactly what they're doing because the pain doesn't come from them leaving. It comes from not knowing why. But then, one day you wake up. Not because they apologized, but because you're exhausted. Exhausted from holding on to someone who was never fully present. Exhausted from questioning your worth through the eyes of someone who never truly saw you as a human being. And in that moment you stop needing closure. You take your power back. You stop writing drafts of messages you'll never send. You stop checking your phone every night. You start living, truly living without them on your mind. To the outside world, it might just look like growth. But to the narcissist, it's a threat. Because they never believed you could walk away. They left without a word because they assumed you'd always be waiting. Your indifference doesn't just shock them, it shatters their illusion of power over you. A narcissist doesn't leave to end things. They leave to test you. To see if you'll beg, chase, spiral in despair. And when you do nothing, no messages, no silent likes on their stories, no breadcrumbs, they begin to lose control. Because for the narcissist, controlling your emotions is their oxygen. They need your pain to feel important. They need your longing to feel worthy. So when you no longer react, they panic. Not because they love you, but because they've lost their grip. This is usually when they try to come back. Not with real remorse, but with their old tricks. A half-hearted apology. A just checking in text. A vague, nostalgic post meant to stir your emotions. All of it calculated. All of it designed to crack open the door they intentionally left ajar. But this time, you don't open it. And that is when the narcissist must face the greatest truth of all. They lost you. They didn't lose because you yelled, fought, or demanded justice. They lost because you went quiet. Because you stopped needing anything from them. And to someone who lives on manipulation, being let go without resistance, that is the deepest cut. And this is just the beginning. Because in the next part, we'll dive deeper into what really happens inside the narcissist's mind when they lose their supply and why your peace is the biggest threat they'll ever face. Stay tuned, we have so much more to uncover. In psychology, narcissists lack the ability to maintain stable emotional connections with others. They don't know how to love in a sustainable way. They have no clear concept of empathy or genuine commitment. They love you only when you make them feel good about themselves. But the moment you ask for kindness, for transparency, or simply demand the right to be respected, you become the enemy. And when they leave without a word, it's not because they want to give you peace. It's because they need to leave a blurred, open thread they can return to. No closure means no finality. And if nothing is closed, they still have a door they can walk through any time to reactivate your pain, to rebuild their control. But if this time you don't react, if you truly accept the truth, let go of the hope for explanation, and return to yourself, then the game ends. Not because you won, but because you've simply stopped playing. To the narcissist, this is almost like a psychological collapse. They can't comprehend why you no longer react. They once believed they were the center of your world. They thought they could disappear and return whenever they pleased. Like a movie where they are the director. But when you stop playing your assigned supporting role, they panic. Because the truth is no one has ever truly loved them. Only you did. And now, you've let go. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into how the narcissist responds when they lose their power to manipulate. And why your healing, your autonomy, and your peace are the deadliest threats to their disordered psychological system. A narcissist doesn't love you the way you once believed. They love the way you make them feel about themselves. When you admire them, tolerate them, or even react with anger, pain, pleading, or rebellion, you're confirming that they still have control over you, that they still occupy space in your mind. And that's exactly what they need. But when you go silent, when you truly become indifferent, when you no longer allow them to define your emotions, you shatter the entire structure of control they've spent so long building. They start to feel insecure. They'll do anything to test whether you've really escaped. Maybe it's a random message after months of silence, a nostalgic story on social media, a missed call by accident, a vague post. Some people will never understand how deeply they were once loved. But remember, none of this is rooted in love. It's rooted in panic, the panic of losing control. And when you still don't respond, when you remain unmoved, they often shift into another phase, silent revenge. They might start posting pictures with someone new, spreading rumors or talking behind your back in shared social circles. All of it with one goal: to provoke you, upset you, and pull you back into the role of the controlled. But this time, you're no longer in that game. You no longer need them to validate your worth. You don't need a happy ending to let go. Because now you understand, closure doesn't come from them, it comes from you. From looking back at the entire journey and choosing peace. From no longer waiting for someone else's apology to move forward. And that's when the narcissist truly begins to panic. You see, most narcissists are never prepared for the forever goodbye. They assume you'll come back. They believe that one day your heart will soften again. But when you don't, not out of anger or revenge, but simply because you've had enough, their entire manipulation system starts to collapse. They're forced to face the emptiness you unknowingly helped them hide. They confront feelings of failure, insignificance, abandonment. Emotions they've always dumped onto you just to avoid feeling them themselves. And here's the hardest truth they'll never say out loud. Deep down, they know they can't love you in a healthy way. They know that the love you gave is something they could never return. They know they only held onto you out of selfishness, not out of love. But they still cling. Not because you're special, but because you're familiar. Because you were programmed to react exactly how they needed. And when you break that programming, they lose their grip. That's why the journey after leaving a narcissist isn't just healing, it's rebirth. You don't just need to heal from the wounds of abuse. You need to reclaim your ability to see yourself clearly. To learn how to love again without fear, without control, and without the constant need to prove your worth. They may still watch from afar. They may still test the waters with their old tricks. But once you've seen the truth behind the game, you lose all interest in playing. And that is your greatest power. If you're ready, in the next chapter, we'll dive deep into how to reinforce your boundaries, rebuild your self-worth, and create a new life, one no longer ruled by the fear of abandonment. This isn't just the journey of leaving a narcissist, it's the journey of returning to yourself. Once you've seen the truth and stopped playing by the narcissist's rules, the next thing you need to learn isn't just how to stay away from them, it's how to rebuild yourself. Because leaving a narcissist isn't the end. It's the beginning. The beginning of your journey back to yourself. At this stage, you'll start to feel the emptiness, the silence. No more drama. No more random 2 a.m. texts. No more emotionally draining arguments followed by sweet words and contradictory embraces. And the truth is, you will feel empty. But it's the emptiness of truth, not the emptiness of lies. This is the moment when many people go back to the narcissist. Not because they still love them, but because they don't know how to live without being controlled. They've forgotten who they are without the manipulation. And that's why this stage, the post-discard phase, is the most critical of all. You have to relearn how to live without them. No more reacting. No more bracing yourself for someone else's anger, silence, or the withdrawal of affection used as a reward. Now is the time to rebuild your boundaries. Not just with others, but with yourself. You need to learn how to not respond to their nostalgic messages. Not stalk their social media to see where they are or who they're with. Not romanticize the past. Not confuse compassion with the responsibility to save them. And most importantly, learn how to sit with your emotions without needing someone else to fix them. You might feel lonely. That's normal. But don't confuse loneliness with a mistake. Loneliness won't destroy you. Manipulation can. Create new rituals. Write in a journal each morning. Cook for yourself with care. Reconnect with old friends you lost touch with because of control. Do something you used to love but forgot because you were too busy surviving. Read books. Learn to meditate. Practice breathing. Or simply sit quietly in your room and listen to your heartbeat, a reminder that you're still alive. And on your way back, if you do this long enough, you'll start to feel a shift from within. You'll realize you no longer need validation from anyone. You'll begin to see your worth clearly, without anyone's permission. You'll stop seeing yourself as a victim. You'll see yourself as a survivor. And more importantly, as someone being reborn. Remember, healing is not a straight line. There will be days you want to go back. Days you cry. Days you miss them. But you don't have to be perfect to heal. You just have to be consistent. Each day, choose yourself again. Each moment of weakness, return to the truth. Every time you feel the urge to forgive, ask yourself, has this person truly changed, or am I sacrificing myself again? And if you slip up, that's okay. Healing doesn't mean never making mistakes. Healing means recognizing when you're betraying yourself and gently choosing to come back. You've come too far to turn back now. You're not the same person you used to be. And you deserve a life free from manipulation. In the next part, we'll talk about how to spot red flags in new relationships so you don't fall into the same cycle with a new narcissist in a kind disguise. Because the true journey isn't just about leaving, it's about not repeating. Once you've gotten far enough away from the narcissist, a quiet question will begin to form in your mind. How do I make sure I never end up in a relationship like that again? It's a hard question, but it's also a liberating one. Because even after you've left, the old patterns can still live inside you. And without clear awareness, it's easy to fall back into the same cycle, this time with a new person, but the same old pain. First, understand this. Narcissists don't always show up looking suspicious from the start. Quite the opposite, they're often charming, magnetic, funny, attentive, and deep. They know exactly what you need and temporarily become the perfect version of that person. If you've been abandoned before, they'll reassure you. If you felt invisible, they'll make you feel like the center of the universe. If you've been controlled, they'll give you the illusion of freedom until you're caught in their web. So how do you spot them before it's too late? The connection moves too fast. Narcissists often rush emotional intimacy. They'll say, "I love you," within days. They'll call you their soulmate, destiny, the one they've been searching for. They'll push for deep closeness before you've even had time to truly know them. That's a red flag. They're always right, never wrong. At first, they may seem open-minded. But when conflict arises, you'll quickly see they never take responsibility. Everything will be twisted to make you the one at fault. And if you push back, you'll be told you're too sensitive, overreacting, or can't take a joke. You feel confused about yourself. Over time, you'll find yourself questioning your own emotions. You apologize for your feelings. You hesitate to say what you think. You feel like you've lost touch with who you are. That's not love, that's psychological manipulation. Conditional kindness. A narcissist gives affection as a reward for behavior they want, and withdraws it when you don't comply. They make you feel like you have to earn their love. And because you've been conditioned to accept that, it feels familiar even though it's toxic. To break this cycle, you need to build a new kind of emotional immunity. Learn to trust your intuition. If something makes you feel uneasy even when they seem sweet, listen to that feeling. Intuition is data, not weakness. Watch for consistent behavior. Someone can talk a good game, but how they handle conflict, how they react when you disagree, shows you who they truly are. Ask yourself, does this relationship help me grow, or does it shrink me? Am I being myself or performing a role? Most importantly, don't rush. Real love doesn't need to be fast. It doesn't make you anxious when they don't text. It doesn't make you feel guilty for expressing your needs. It doesn't disappear the moment you're imperfect. A kind, healthy person will never make you feel like you have to deserve love. They will love you for who you are, not for the version of you they try to mold. And if you start to notice familiar signs of manipulation, don't panic. It doesn't mean you're not healed. It just means you're seeing more clearly. And that is the biggest victory of all. You've come a long way from confusion and pain to awareness and healing. And if you're reading this right now, I want you to know one thing: you've stepped out of the shadow of manipulation. Even if you still feel unsteady at times, even if some memories still hit like storms, you are no longer the person you used to be. You are someone learning how to love yourself like you've never been broken. Someone choosing to live without needing validation from the one who once made you question your worth. Someone rewriting what love means, no longer tied to suffering, sacrifice, or fear. And this journey doesn't demand perfection. It only asks for honesty with yourself. It asks for the courage to choose yourself just once, and then once more. It asks that you never return to what broke you, just because it feels familiar. Because you deserve a love that is kind, a life that is peaceful, a freedom that comes with no conditions. If this journey touched you in any way, know that you are not alone. Subscribe to this channel. Share this video with someone who might need a wake-up call. And drop a comment below. I read every word you write. I'll see you in the next video where we keep reclaiming the power that was stolen from us and keep walking forward. Not with fear, but with trust in ourselves. You are rising again. And this time it's for you.